Okay, what exactly do we mean by genre? I'm sure most of you will remember this from high school English, but the word genre comes from the French word for type. And it's when we refer to genre, we're talking about a way of classifying and organizing literary works into categories. Wikipedia adds this to it. It says genres may be determined by technique, tone, content, or length. They generally move from more abstract encompassing classes, which are then further subdivided into more concrete distinctions. The distinctions between genres and categories are flexible and loosely defined, and even the rules designating genres change over time and are fairly unstable. So genres come and go. New genres, we'll talk later about some of them, come up as trends emerge. So it's not fixed. There is a lot of fluidity. Most important question. In fact, this is the core of why I'm talking to you today. Why do we need to know our genre? Why does it matter? Rick Moody, and I have no idea who Rick Moody is. I didn't bother to go and Google him, but he says genre is a bookstore problem, not a literary problem. Meaning that really it only matters when the bookseller is putting the books on the shelves in the bookstore. No, is my answer. Why? Well, let's dig into some reasons why it is important for us as authors at the very creation part of the process to know about genre. Firstly, to keep our stories focused. If we know what we're writing and what the intention is, and we know what our genre is, it's going to help us keep our story a lot more focused, which generally makes it a lot easier to write. If we're not writing an epic where we're trying to write too many things and too many different storylines mashed into one book, it helps us just to simplify and to keep our stories focused. It also helps us to anticipate and meet our readers' expectations. So going back to that Robert McKee quote, we want to anticipate what our readers are going to expect of our books, and we want to meet that, because there is nothing worse than picking up a book thinking it's going to be one thing and it turns out not to meet your expectations. Generally, if that happens, the chances of you buying another book from that particular author or reading another book from that author are very slim. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to disappoint our readers. We don't want them to walk away and never come back. We want to be able to sell them book after book after book. And the way to do that is to know what they're expecting from us and then to deliver on it. Before we even publish the book, it's important to submit to the correct agents and publishers for our type of story. So when you go onto an agent's website or a publisher's website and you look at what they publish, you'll see that they list a bunch of genres that they are particularly looking for at any given moment, or what they particularly enjoy or what they represent. And if you don't quite know what you've written and how it fits into the market, you're probably going to be wasting a lot of time submitting to agents and getting form rejection after form rejection for the pure and simple reason that you've sent them a manuscript that they can't work with. It's not in their wheelhouse, so to speak. It's not in their range that they work with. So don't waste your time submitting to people and places that aren't correct for your story. But that does mean you have to understand what their genre expectations are and where your book fits into that. Going on from that, you need to be able to show agents and editors when you're submitting to them that we've done our homework and we understand what we're writing. Now, this is important. If we, for example, seem very vague about what we're writing, or we mislabel it, then they're going to think, oh dear, this person doesn't really know their genre. They don't really understand it. They don't, if they don't read in this genre and they don't understand the genre, that probably means their book is not going to deliver on the expectations. And then again, form rejection. So we want to avoid all of this. And we do this by knowing what those reader expectations are up front. We also want to understand what our competition is and to select comp titles. Now, comp titles are book titles that you're going to use in your submission to, in your pitch to an editor or an agent, which tells particularly when you're aiming for an agent, they actually want to know where in the market your book is going to fit. It's not only the bookseller in the bookstore who's putting your books onto a bookshelf who needs to know where to put the book. they need to know which publishers to market your book to or to submit to. The agent also needs to know where in the market are you aiming for. Is it an oversaturated market? For example, immediately after Twilight came out, the YA paranormal market bloomed and blossomed, and there were suddenly 10,000 people writing paranormal teen fiction. In which case, once the demand goes up and the competition is much higher, you really have to write a standout book to be seen in amongst this, huge saturated market. So an agent then might look at your book and go, we're not really acquiring this right now because we've already got 2 or 3 books that we're trying to sell to publishing houses in the same genre. So it's very important to understand what is happening in your particular genre. It's a good idea to become a specialist in your genre that you are going to write in. Taking it even further, even if you're not going the traditional publishing route and you're not looking for an agent or an editor, if you're going to self-publish your work, it's even more crucial to know what your genre is. Because if you're self-publishing, when you upload your book to the retailer websites, they're going to ask you what categories to put it into, what keywords to put in. And those keywords, you need to remember, for example, Amazon is actually not a store. Amazon is a search engine. It's an aggregator. You type what you are searching for into it, and it finds all the products and the distributors that meet your needs. Now, as a self-publishing author, when you upload your book, you need to give keywords that make the search engine to basically optimize your book for the search engine that is Amazon or Kobo or Nook or Barnes and Noble. So it is very important that you get the correct keywords, because you do not want to be appearing in the wrong category or have readers not be able to find you in the store. And it's also important to market our books to our ideal readers. So this goes for both traditionally published and self-published authors. Self-published authors have the full burden of promoting their books on their own shoulders, but even traditionally published authors are expected to do some promotion. You might want to take out newsletter ads, Facebook ads, or join newsletter swaps, and you need to know who are the other authors in your genre that you can do newsletter swaps with to build your readership. There's a lot of things that both traditional and self-published authors do. And in fact, I will at the end of this webinar be talking about our new course that we're starting on the 6th of June, all about publishing, which will cover a lot of this in much greater detail. And the one thing I didn't put on this list that's very important is those booksellers. It's important to know your genre so that you have the correct cover, the correct blurb, the correct expectations in your book, so that the bookseller in the bricks and mortar bookstore knows which bookshelf to put your books on. Because you are not going to sell books if your book is on the wrong shelf and people browsing for dictionaries see your book there and go, no, that's not what I want, and they walk away.